Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair. And this time I will show how you can, if you have to assemble the SEIKO shutter, what would be the most smart way to do it. Well, you see there are at least some springs up here, at least this one, which is also ended over here, this one that also ended over here. Of course there are two springs, and there is a one over here. And how would it be if I could, before I put the whole shutter assembly back in the housing, that I could put especially this screw here with the two springs here, and I would like to do it a little more easier. And also this quite annoying spring, which is attached to this screw when you screw that in. And they are quite, there's a lot of tension on this, and also of those two springs here, which one end is actually ended up here to this part here. And yeah, I mean, what I show here is actually you could use some dentist flush thread and hook it up to, I mean, one spring is over here and I attach it over here, so it will stay in that position. Because then it will be easier to, well, at least take the shutter out and put it back in again, especially when the blades are sitting normal. And what about the other springs ends, especially this one here, which is also quite difficult to get in, and also those two ends here, and also this end here. So I tried to, I mean, this is just for showing, because I have a much smarter way of doing it in my own opinion, and you probably can get some inspiration of how to fix those three springs before you put the shutter in the housing here. In this case, it's just for showing. It will not be all about the shutter itself. There will be a later video about another camera which I have, where I can show how it will work with this new tool which I have here. Now, let's say the blades are, one blade is coming loose because of the shutter has been, or the camera has been dropped somewhere. So, and everything is actually working here. So there's no need for maintenance the shutter itself, because, well, it's only the blade that has been loose. Just an example. But if I can, in a way of, instead of using the threads here, you can see if I pull this, it will take the two springs up here, ends, and this one, which is attached to here, it's the spring over here. And of course the one spring here, this end here, it is the third one. So let's say I take the whole thing apart and say that's fine. I'll just take it apart and say just get those springs out, and now all springs sit where they should. So I'll just take apart the the shutter so I can get into the blades. And when I have to put it back in again, well, I will show how this smart tool, those smart tools here, is working. It's quite simple. Let's just take it apart. It's not that big problem. Sitting with four screws, a magnetic 2mm flathead screwdriver is quite good for that. There are probably other smart way of doing this, but this is just what I thought would be a smart way of doing it. So, and this is the XM shutter. Now, take the whole thing out, and I can just grab it here underneath and flip the whole shutter out, and hopefully it will come loose. Yeah, here we have it, no problem. This is just the aperture assembling and the housing. Now, here we can see the blades, they sit just in a way they have to be. And we can just let the blades fall off, no problem with that. Now, the thing is, and which I think was a smart idea, which will make it a little easier to get the screws here. I mean, not the screws, but the spring ends here. You can see those two here, and this one here, and of course this one sits over here. So and it can be quite hard to press them in at the same time, put the shutter into the housing here with the blades on. So what if one could fix them in a place? So first I made this tiny. I simply made it just what things I have. A little axle from a Canon camera, another one from another thing, and it's all parts from old cameras. So the thing is, I can put this into here and in that way, so it will stay there. So the smart thing is that this spring here will I put under the pin in that way here. Something like that. Oh, didn't come in. Can be a little difficult to get that spring into place. So now you can see it stays there. Hopefully you can see. And the thing is, it's the pin here is have a curve in here, so the spring it will sit itself. So the next thing is, because there are three other ends here from the other two screws that also have to sit correct. So I made this on the other one tool here, which can go over the axle here. See? And the curve here, which of course has the curve from this tube here. So I can just put it in like this. And not fully put it in, because the two springs that sits here, those two springs here, has of course to sit correct. So let's see if I can press them in, and hopefully get them into place. something like that. Okay, so now you can see they sit and will stay there. See? So the last one, which I can take my tweezer here and also put under the pin, something like that, and this spring will also sit. So now I can work with the shutter, put the blades in, because the outer diameter here will be a little smaller than the actual diameter in here. So that's why I can just put the shutter in here. Of course I will put it in with the blades, but it will stay here, and without any bigger problem I can put it in. The springs will still sit in place. I can just take it out again and the spring will stay where they should. So now the smart thing comes, that I actually need to put in, I'll just be out of the frame, so we go here. See, so I can just add the blades in here, and it's most easy with simply using a lens sucker, a small one, and simply doing like this, and it will stay something like that. So something. So and the third one will sit up here. And this one will come over here. Let's see, so yeah. Okay, not the best solution. Yeah, just have to be in the frame here. So, come on. So I'll just do it again. And so there. Something like that. It's really good with some small lens sucker. Just make it much easier to put the blades in. Have to do that. So it will stay. Little fellow. So, not quite there. Now, since we're there, and the last blade. So now everything is fine, and yeah, there, boom. So now I can put the blade into the housing, and if we look here, we can see the flash sink is here. There are two gaps here, one there, and they have to sit over here, like this, and over here. So we do it like this, put it in, and the screws also have to sit correct. So there, click into place. One have to adjust it a little, so the screw holes are sitting correct, and then I can flip it over, so I have much better control of how is it sitting correct. You see the flash sink sitting correct, and all springs are sitting correct. So I can screw the shutter into the housing with the tiny screws here. So there. Sometimes a magnetized screwdriver is not so good. Yeah. It doesn't have to be too magnetic. So at least I get the one screw in first. So I have much better control over it. Then we can take the other. So and if I haven't used those two small tools, I would have to it would have been a little challenging to put the actual 3 springs in with screws and all that stuff. So I think, yeah. Still, I don't know what they used in the factory, but because they would, I mean, they could have used something like a tool to hold the springs in place. I don't know. So now we have everything back in place. The thing is that I can just take one tool out or the other. It doesn't really matter. Take this out, unclick it, and the screws sit perfect. This one can also be taken out. Oop. And of course one can push this one down here so it sits in the notch, and this spring also can sit into the notch, but they sit all correct. So let's see if it actually is working, that I can open the shutter blades. Of course I have to unlock it here somewhere, which can be a little challenge. Not this end, be the other end here. So there, it will not stay there. So there. Yeah, it cannot. But hope you see the point is where it's one can actually open and close the blades. And this all springs are sitting correct except for this one, because it has to sit there. So now it sits correct. And it would have taken me longer time to put in that bloody spring here. I mean that bloody screw with the 2 springs, because there are a lot of tension on it. And of course also some of those parts, so I can assemble the more difficult parts with the shutter out of the housing. And of course the dentist thread, flush thread, it can also be a useful idea of when putting in the shutter into the housing, with the screws and the springs all in place. So I hope it gives some inspiration of how it, just to make it a little easier. And there will be sooner video with those in full action in a camera. So see you sooner. Bye bye.